Allow me to wet the whistle. In 3, 2, 1, welcome back. Another episode. And I just want to make one thing clear. We listen to our fans. They've told me that I need to let you off the leash. I quote.
Did they now?
I quote, stop rushing the man. Let him cook.
Let him cook.
So this episode is dedicated to you.
Thank you.
And whatever you'd like to talk about.
Thank you
What would you like to talk about? Make it snappy.
Okay, we're going we're going off key. Or rather, we're going off message. Okay. The most underrated films you may never have heard of, or maybe you have gleaned or, heard a peep about of, I want to say the 80s and 90s, but they might be like putting my toe into the 2000s or thereafter, but principally the 80s and 90s.
Fine.
Okay, these are movies that I think the majority of our 300 strong subscribers, thank you, we crossed the 300 mark, okay, may or may not have heard of. You actually may have heard of, maybe not have seen.
I don't know what's coming up.
You don't know what's coming up. Okay.
But can I just make one stipulation?
You may stipulate.
I don't know how many films you have. I'm sure the list is long.
It's long.
But can we do 5 for now? We'll call it part 1. And then we'll have a part 2 and part 3, whatever you want. But parts of 5. We're back.
Give it a name.
All right. Hit me with number 1 most underrated film.
Bret Easton Ellis's first literary adaptation on screen, 1987's Less Than Zero. Have you seen this film?
You know what? I may have seen it. I remember parts of it. I don't know if I've watched it in full.
Okay.
So while I remember some things about it, no, not entirely. I don't know what happens in the film. I know there's a lot of drug abuse and drug addiction. That's the main theme. That's kind of all I know.
So Bret Easton Ellis, who's had a few of his novels adapted to the big screen, and there's a lot of swings and misses here. The most famous one is American Psycho, which is the big hit.
Yes.
Right? This one, I think, falls into number 2. There's been some terrible ones, by the way. The Informers, which you may or may not have seen, it's awful.
No.
With Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger.
No.
Terrible, avoided at all costs. And there's one called Rules of Attraction, starring Vanderbeek, who's playing Patrick Bateman's American
that
Psycho.
same character.
His brother.
Ah.
In a school.
Okay.
Where there's lots of drug use,
Right.
and he's like a degenerate drug dealer.
Right.
Also,
how did Vanderbeek not win best actor for that film?
I don't know.
mean,
I have
such
no
a
idea.
Classically
But in
trained
any case,
thespian.
Less Than Zero. It was the first film adapted, starring Andrew McCarthy.
Yes.
In the main role, Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
Jamie Gertz, James Spader. Okay?
Yes.
So we've got some good, strong brat packing
Right.
here.
Good
right?
brat packing. Yes.
Andrew McCarthy in the opening scene, which booms onto your screen with the Bangles rendition of the Simon and Garfunkel classic, Hazy Shade of Winter.
Oh, great song. Great song.
Right?
Yeah, probably the Bangles' best song.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is a LA-based rich kid who's gone to the East Coast, Ivy League East Coast, and comes back to find his girlfriend, his best friend, all riddled, hooked on drugs. Okay.
Any particular drug?
Coke.
Mainly coke.
All right. The
But
disco dust, the booger sugar, the devil's dandruff.
Love it.
Right? He comes back, he's disillusioned by everything that he sees around him, right? Everyone's off the rails. They've resorted to drug abuse, I want to say petty crime.
Wait, hold on. So is this sort of a Requiem for a Dream before Requiem for a Dream?
I'm ashamed to say I don't know Requiem for a Dream well, so I cannot reference
that's
it.
maybe one for my list later on. Okay, fine.
Okay. In any case...
but they resort to sordid things just to make money to buy drugs. I'm sure this happens Less Than Zero.
And it's a snapshot essentially of rich kid culture in Los Angeles in the 80s that have started to abuse, the drug of choice of that decade. Right. Okay. And they plunge really
and subsequent decades since.
And subsequent, but it's really it's born in that decade.
Yeah, it is true. Now let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm
interrupting. No. You asked me.
I want to say. So, okay, so that's the premise.
That's
the premise. Are you going to give spoilers or no?
I'll give some spoilers if you.
I just want to know why you think it's such a great film.
Okay, first of all, there is a. First of all, it's exceptionally well directed.
Okay.
Okay.
By.
Damn.
All right, don't worry.
Okay, it's my bad.
We'll come back to that.
It's my bad. Okay.
This is what happens, people. This is why I put him on a leash. Fine, but you don't want it. This is why.
Okay.
Now go on.
Okay. It's shot, but it's shot with like my favorite sort of neon, kind of this neon thermology throughout at nighttime. Synthwave thermology.
Right.
Okay. It's got a very, very
80s
haunting
aesthetic.
score. Absolutely, a very, very haunting score. Great music. Obviously, the Bangles track
Okay,
notwithstanding,
fine.
but it's got.
Just because it has good packaging doesn't make it a great film.
No, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr., who might have been playing an autobiographical at that time version of himself,
Yeah.
gives and delivers one of the most effective and what do you call it?
Esoteric?
Realistic,
Yes.
esoteric, visceral accounts of someone,
Yeah.
okay, who has just basically plunged off the deep end, is sunk so low, okay, in his personal, professional. Yeah.
So what you're saying is he's gone less than zero.
He's got less than
Oh,
zero.
Wow.
Okay, all right.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Okay, okay.
All right.
So this is one of the great performances
Fine.
of someone drug-addled.
Okay.
Okay, we can think of some other performances that like
Yes.
that we can think of the reference. And by the way, I would like to just a shout out.
Yeah.
The year after, a movie called The Boost.
Right.
Okay, which I could put in the top 10 or 5, whatever we're gonna do. But I'm just putting it as a footnote. James Woods plays obviously an older version of a real estate guy who moves to LA. With Sean, playing alongside Sean Young, who's playing his wife. They get a big taste of the highs of LA, get hooked on the yayo, and that's another amazing, astonishing, gripping, very scary portrayal of someone who has it all and loses it all. But Downey Jr. does it 1 year before, playing like a college kid doing it, and I think amazing that he didn't get any Oscar nods or Oscar nomination nods. Golden Globe, nothing. This film actually has achieved
But that
the
has
kind of
maybe
cult
something,
following.
as you were saying, maybe that has something to do with his private life.
Maybe.
Being a real life drug addict
Right,
at
sure,
that time.
sure.
You know, so maybe that's why they felt like he doesn't deserve anything.
There are also some very, very realistic scenes where Jamie Gertz, who was also one of the kind of the Brat Packers,
Yes.
who's, by the way, just incidentally, a nice footnote, the richest person in Hollywood.
What do you mean?
They're like a multi-billionaire.
Now, today?
Today.
With the girl?
The girl.
Wait, she's the one from Lost Boys.
The one from Lost Boys.
She's the richest
She's
person?
the richest person in Hollywood.
What?
Well, actually, it's family wealth, but like she's like a multi-billionaires.
Okay.
But like it's amazing when
Wow.
I'm looking at like the richest people
All right.
in Hollywood.
A
She's
video-
like number one.
a video for another
Jamie
time.
Gertz.
We need to get to the bottom
All right,
of that.
okay. But you know
Hey,
what?
Gertzy, please sponsor.
Yeah. But you know what? She's also like drug addled in this film, playing an aspiring model. And there are some scenes where Andrew McCarthy, he's kind of, I don't want to say, he's like the fish out of water. He's
Right,
coming back into
right,
LA.
right.
Everyone is like is cracked out.
Okay.
So you're seeing it through his prism.
Okay.
Okay. And he comes back and he's stunned, he's disillusioned by the reactions and the behaviors and the way everyone talks and walks and
Right.
moves. And I'm not a massive fan of his performance. I think he's a bit of a wooden actor. And I've never particularly liked him, but for the fact that he's like part of that Brat Pack generation. But in any case, he's playing the straight man, and everyone around him is cracked out. And she's got some amazing scenes where she is like, he's talking, she's listening to him, but she doesn't really hear anything he's saying. And it's actually an amazing portrayal
Right.
of someone who you'd want to think that they know what it's like to be on drugs. Robert Downey Jr. obviously did, but she's also fantastic in that role. And James Spader, one of my favorite
Who's he,
actors.
the drug dealer?
He's the drug dealer who's controlling everyone around him, right? And he's like, since Andrew McCarthy's moved to the East Coast and come back, he's basically become a big time player, supplying all the parties, all that kind of stuff. He's amazing. And you know, James Spader has made a name for himself playing like villainous, devilish characters. He's amazing in this role. Okay, playing a guy called Rip. And he's pulling the strings, and he's like sinking Robert Downey Jr. further and further into not just this drug-addled world, but also like male prostitution,
Yeah.
and selling his soul to
So
devil.
a lot of parallels actually to Requiem for a Dream.
Okay,
Yeah. So listen, so a happy ending, not happy ending?
not a happy ending.
Okay.
Not a happy
Marks
ending.
out of 10?
I would say give it a strong 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Okay. Number 2.
Number 2.
Revenge.
Revenge.
1990. Kevin Costner, Madeline Stowe, Anthony Quinn. Okay, now, Kevin Costner, we've referenced him a few times in our videos in the past, okay? You're lukewarm about him.
I'm not a big Costner fan. I haven't seen this film. I know it's a film you love, and you've been trying to make me watch it for quite a while now. I still haven't got around to it, but I will.
Okay.
But tell us why you love it so much.
All right. This is Kevin Costner like you've never seen him before. So Kevin Costner is a vanilla actor, right? He's a vanilla actor. He's like the boy next door, playing kind of these kind of what do you call it?
Half man, half fish type characters. Is that what you mean? Boy
Well,
next door?
yeah, but you know, like he's you know you remember him in the 80s and in the 90s for kind of like the everyman role with a touch of handsomeness, like in Bull Durham or in Field of Dreams or in The Bodyguard or one of my favorites, No Way Out. Okay, or Untouchables. Untouchables. These are all movies you don't like him in, right?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you want me to... Okay, yes, go ahead.
So this film came in between his hits on either side, right? So you have on one side of the 80s, you've got him ascending, No Way Out, Untouchables, for which he received huge reviews, Bull Durham, and Field of Dreams. Very, very strong catalogue of films. And on the other side of Revenge, you've got him in his biggest hit to date, which you and I are not a big fan of, Dance with the Wolves, for which he won all the awards.
I don't mind it, yes. I don't think it's as astonishing as everybody makes out, or they made out at the time, but obviously you have to give accolades for the fact that he was the writer, director, and star in that film.
But the fact that it won Best Picture over Goodfellas is one of the crimes of not just the decade, but the century.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And obviously, subsequent to that, Bodyguard, which was maybe his biggest commercial hit, and so on and so forth. But sandwiched in between all that, with all these movies bookending it, Revenge is a film that went under the radar. His most bloody, his sexiest, his most intense, testosterone-driven role ever. Directed by Tony Scott, okay, one of my favorite directors, one of your favorite directors, Helmer of Top Gun, Crimson Tide, Days of Thunder, True Romance.
True Romance.
Okay, but really, really with the sexiness, the violence dialed up to 10. He plays this Air Force pilot who's just recently retired. Okay. First seen an homage to Top Gun, by the way. He goes to Mexico to see his old friend Anthony Quinn, whose catalog I don't know well, but my God, Anthony Quinn, by the way, I love him just from this role. You made him, okay, fine.
Yeah, he's an amazing actor.
Okay,
or
all right.
Was. Rest in peace.
Yes, so he goes to Mexico, to Puerto Vallarta, okay, to see his old friend, to celebrate his retirement. He turns up there. Anthony Quinn is basically playing a mob boss who basically runs all of Mexico.
How are they friends?
There's a backstory about how they were in like a hunting trip together and they saved each other's lives. Okay. Although it's true, there's a massive age gap. Nevertheless, he turns up on his like massive estate. He locks eyes with his wife, doesn't know it's his wife, played by Madeline Stowe, right? One of the most beautiful, like sexiest women of that decade. Although I have to say, like in this film, she's playing like a Latin princess. Okay,
shades of Scarface here. Frank Lopez, Tony Montana, Elvira.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Go on.
Okay. Although Scarface, not a movie with any sex in it.
No.
Okay.
No.
So this is taking it from a different angle. So he turns up. There's this red-blooded, carnivorous, insatiable like attraction between them. She's a very, very unhappy, dissatisfied wife because her husband is basically like the drug lord of Mexico and doesn't want any more children. He's fathered, like he says, I fathered 10 children. You have a beautiful body. So she's miserable. She locks eyes on with Kevin Costner's character. There's this palpable romance, this palpable like attraction that's like rising to the fore. But they're in Anthony Quinn's world, and an affair breaks out with his best friend's wife. Okay, the greatest sin. The Bible talks about it. Maybe Scientology talks about it. I think maybe also, yeah, all those other religions. Okay, and what ensues is the most. I mean, I get heart palpitations just thinking about it.
Wow.
I really get heart palpitations just thinking about it. Like the most intense affair followed by like the most brutal revenge, followed by like the most
So it's Anthony Quinn's
biblical redemption sought by all the characters.
Okay.
And
So
I'm talking,
Anthony Quinn's character is the one who seeks revenge.
of course.
Okay.
And you know what
I don't
the
know,
great
I haven't seen
great
it.
irony in this
Yeah.
film, the great irony, the Anthony
I
Quinn
know,
character,
Betsy. Yeah, go ahead.
the Anthony Quinn character, he's the villain.
Yes. Yeah.
But he's the victim.
Yes.
Because he actually loves his
Smart.
wife.
Smart.
And he loves his best friend.
Yeah.
Right? And as the tension builds up, you actually see that he's actually, like, he values his best friend more than all his employees, all his money interests. He loves him so much.
Even though his best friend is Kevin Costner.
Even-
Very impressive. Very impressive indeed.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, it's true. But this is actually where the paradoxes in the film come in.
Right.
So the Anthony Quinn character, the brutal revenge he exacts
Yeah.
on the
Costner character.
on the betraying lovers.
Yes.
Right? And his wife.
Okay.
What he does to his wife.
Okay.
Oh my lord.
Oh my
I don't even
lord.
go into it.
Okay.
And the dog.
Okay. Oof.
Okay. But the brutal revenge he exacts is so harrowing, but understandable and justifiable. Okay, and it's actually, I can't believe this movie actually was a novella, and I think Steve McQueen had like interests many years before playing it. Didn't
Okay.
come through.
Okay.
Costner chased it.
Okay.
And I've looked at the reviews. It's amazing how even at the time, forget about the box office. It's a very, very violent film. Okay, and Costner's playing against type.
Right.
But it's amazing how, like, even the reviewers found it like too mean-spirited,
Right.
too intense. Like,
Right.
I think
Happy
I
ending?
think
I guess
No.
not. Okay, so well there you go. That goes along with the reviewers, I guess.
Okay, well, in
of
any
it
case,
being mean-spirited and a bit like, I don't know, sadistic, would you say?
I don't know about sadistic, but it's like it's a violent, bloody
Right.
mess. But it's like sex,
Okay,
violence.
so why you love it is the intensity.
The intensity.
Okay.
And it's very well acted.
Fine.
And Costner actually acts amazing. And you know what it is? You
Would you
understand
say
the
it's
movie.
Costner's best role? I mean, after Waterworld, of course.
I'm a big
And
fan
The
of
Postman.
I'm a big fan of Draft Day, by the way.
Okay,
Draft
fine.
Day, underrated movie.
Okay, well,
okay. No.
alright.
I think it's my favorite Costner role.
Okay.
I think it's his best role.
Okay.
I would understand why it's not his most celebrated.
Right.
Okay, but and Quinn playing like his Zorba the Greek type.
Yeah.
Grandiose
Big mafioso,
personality.
Godfather type
absolutely.
character.
He's such an amazing
Okay,
actor.
okay.
But and you know what? You understand all their motivations. So
Right.
actually, when you're watching the movie, you actually don't even know who to root for.
Right.
You got to watch it. It's actually
Fine.
on YouTube.
Fine.
It's
Oh,
actually
okay.
on YouTube.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So out of 10, how would you give? Well,
9.
9. Okay. So if you've seen that film, if you've seen any other films, please comment. Please like. You know the rest.
All right.
All right. Number 3.
Number 3. Okay.
Yeah.
A movie called Shakedown.
Never heard of it.
Okay. 1987, 1988 maybe.
Okay.
Directed by, I think, James Glickenhaus. Okay.
Okay.
A Ferrari enthusiast. Starring Peter Weller
Yes.
and Sam Elliott.
RoboCop.
Sam
Sam
Elliott.
Elliott
of
Star is Born, the latest version.
okay, but also
And Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski and Roadhouse.
1,000 other films.
One of the greatest hair and mullet men of his generation.
And
any
Tash
generation.
men.
And Tashman, yeah.
Right.
He was kind of like that. If you can't get Tom Selleck, or you can't get, who would you say also? Like if you can't get that guy, let's get Sam
Jeff-
Elliott.
oh,
Jeff Bridges.
I
exactly.
guess,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Or what's his face? Who's the actor? I forget his name. The one who plays Blades, like guy who makes all Blades gadgets.
Chris Christopherson.
Christopherson.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
By the way, well done, Alex. Well done. Okay, this film,
Yeah.
right in the spirit of 80s buddy cop films,
Yeah.
right? Following in the footsteps of, what do we got? Like 48 Hours, Lethal Weapon, Tango and Cash. What else do we have buddy cop films that we like so much? The Hidden, starring Michael Nouri and Carl McLaughlin.
Right.
Great film,
Right.
underrated.
Raw
And-
Deal.
No, Red Heat.
Red Heat,
Red,
sorry.
well done. Well
Red
done.
Heat,
Right.
Red Heat.
Belushi and Schwarzenegger.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now this one, 2 thumbs up from Siskel and Ebert. I've seen
Oh,
the review
wow.
recently. Yeah, amazing. They're both like, this is one of the great
So how come
action
nobody's
films.
ever heard of it?
Exactly.
I mean, how
in
come
the,
I've never
in
heard
the
of it?
UK, it was called Blue Jean Cop.
Okay.
Okay.
Still not
a
heard
reference
of it.
a reference to undercover cops when
Right.
they're wearing blue jeans. Okay.
Right, fine.
But in the US it's called Shakedown.
Okay.
Okay, and it pairs Peter Weller of RoboCop fame, who's playing like this district attorney, not district attorney, public defender. Okay, who's has a passion for defending, like, you know, got out of like the private capitalist like defense game, wants to do public defender work.
Pro bono.
Pro bono because it's more exciting and he gets to
Right.
deal with like street thugs
Yes.
and hoodlums. Okay.
Probably good press coverage.
Exactly.
Yes.
There you go. And loves his Jimi Hendrix in the movie.
Oh, okay,
By the way,
cool.
so he's like a
Like
big
that.
Jimi
I
Hendrix
like that.
fanatic,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
and a bit of an action junkie. Partnered with Sam Elliott, who plays the detective, okay, who's, when you see him in the opening scenes, he actually lives in a movie theater. He sleeps in a movie theater. Okay, that's his thing. Brushes his
Amazing.
teeth in the mouth. Okay, these two guys collide, and Sam Elliott gives a very, very, again, oxymoronic performance. You think of him playing this like guy with the bushy hair, would be like eccentric and over the top, but he plays him very, very
Low-key.
downbeat. And Peter Weller, who's playing the lawyer, is actually the eccentric one. Okay, so they come together, and they're investigating police corruption in New York. Okay, it's a very like, it's a silly film. It's got some amazing action set pieces, some great baddies. Listen, the climactic action sequence has a Porsche Cabriolet racing to after a what do you call it? A Boeing 747 on the airport tarmac. Okay, with Sam Elliott getting out of the Porsche Cabriolet, jumping onto the landing gear to plant a bomb
We've
in the
seen that
thing.
1,000 times since.
It's
Bad
done.
Boys,
It's
whatever.
done. It's done. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
But it's done actually first and best in Shakedown. Okay.
Got it. Just for that, I think worth watching.
Okay, and some great rapport between the two guys. And there's a particular one scene where they discuss relationships, and you actually should watch it. It's amazing. And YouTube comments on it are like, there's like a what do you call it? They're waxing lyrical about it, where they're talking about their loves of having lost the loves of their lives, and it's such a funny, subtle exchange between two guys. And you know what? Buddy cop films, what are they about? They're about chemistry.
Of course.
Why did some of these movies work? It's about chemistry. So I think there were too many films of that ilk being pumped out at that time, so it went a bit under the radar.
Sure.
Okay, and
overshadowed by 48 Hours, Lethal
Lethal
Weapon, blah blah
Tango
blah.
and Cash.
Yeah.
And
Tango and Cash. Sure.
Weller,
Bit of a stretch.
Weller and Elliott maybe not as big box office draw as some of those other.
Yes.
You know,
I mean,
combinations.
Weller really, apart from RoboCop.
And you know why I think Weller didn't like soar to massive heights?
Why? He
Is
didn't
because-
want to?
No, I don't think it's that. And by the way, a very interesting mercurial actor,
Character,
Peter
yeah.
Weller. I actually think it's because in RoboCop, even though RoboCop is a huge film, you don't
He's not.
you don't see
yes,
him.
You don't see him.
So you don't build up an affection for the actor viscerally.
No, but
that
I
much.
think that's what makes him such a good actor, because the fact that you don't see him, but still he gives a robot so much, pathos, and then you can relate to him and you care about him. But anyway, okay, happy ending.
Are you sold on it? Happy end? Yes, this one has a happy ending.
Okay, out of 10?
Okay, 8.
8. Okay, so not as high as the other previous two.
I think, what did we give?
8.5, 9, and now
less
8.
than 0. Okay. Number 4.
Okay.
Are we number 4?
Yes.
Havana.
Havana.
Robert Redford's
I've heard of this one.
Casablanca modernization, I want to say.
Yes.
Okay.
So is it a bit of a Casablanca remake?
I think
Is
it's
it the base-
every bit as good, but of
Okay.
course I saw it first.
Right.
I didn't appreciate when I first saw it.
Yeah.
It's very long. It's directed by Sidney Pollack, who
Yeah,
directed
great
Redford in
director.
many
Yeah.
films. Okay, and who's Out of Africa won Best Picture. He's playing, I guess, the Bogart character. Mm-hmm. Set in Havana on the eve of the revolution, before Castro took over. So when Havana's basically an American whorehouse that U.S. residents travel to
Imperialism, blah,
absolutely.
blah, blah.
Okay, so
Exploitation.
he's this 50-something gambler, not gigolo, playboy.
Right.
Okay, and he goes there periodically. He
They're
keeps
like
a place there.
Go on.
Thank you.
Dynamo.
Thank you. I wish I could look that good
Don't wish.
in 1 year's time.
You are that. Go on.
Okay. So he's playing this professional poker player, who knows how to basically
Hustle everyone.
And he goes to Havana, where the game is at its best and
Right.
its purest.
Right.
And he likes to play against, like high rollers.
Right.
As he's taking the ferry, he meets this woman who's a revolutionary, played by Lena Olin, Swedish actress,
Yes.
a great Swedish actress, played in a great underrated film called Romeo's Bleeding, by the way, starring Gary Oldman.
Yeah. Great film. I know who she is. Yeah.
And she's on her way to Havana, and she's basically part of Castro's resistance. On the boat, he meets her. He's taken by her. They meet again when they arrive in Havana, and he helps her smuggle in some radio headsets for the rebels who are like planning the revolution in the hills.
Right.
Okay, and she's actually married to Raul Julia, who
Okay.
we've talked about, who's another amazing bombastic actor in the vein of Anthony Quinn a little bit.
Very much so.
Right, who's basically, he's become disenchanted with Cuba's rule under Batista. Okay, although he's playing a rich guy, but he's actually been sold on Castro's message. So they're revolutionaries. Redford goes there. In the first half of the film, he's doing everything that you would imagine an American playboy would be doing in Cuba. And I don't know Cuba well at all, but it's been captured so astonishingly well. And a lot of people who have played Latin characters in that film, and Cubans as well, have said that what Pollock did in recreating the strip, or wherever it was filmed, Havana, that they had a nostalgic experience, because a lot of them were actually like refugees who came from there. Right. And it was an emotional experience, because he recreated, Havana basically I think it's in the Dominican Republic. And the first half of the film is all about the debauchery of Cuba. So they set up the nightclubs and the live shows and the coming together of Cuban nationals with American tourists. It's very, very well done. Right. And on the and casinos and all that. And on the outskirts, you've got this sort of like the plot, the subplot that's going to kind of descend in the second half of the film, which is the revolution is coming, and people are ignoring it and
it's going to be fine. Blah, blah, blah.
At the same time, Robert Redford starts falling for the Lena Olin character. Okay, and all hell breaks loose in the second half of the film. Okay, it's a great love story. It's very powerful. It's not a particularly fast-paced film, right? But it's great directorial work from Sidney Pollack. It was actually well reviewed by critics, but it was actually considered a box office bomb, because I think the subject matter is not that appealing for mainstream audiences. Right. Okay. And Redford.
Do you think it holds up today? I mean, with everything
I've seen it recently, and I think it's a masterpiece. Okay. And I think some of the dialogue between the characters, some of the romantic dialogue Redford drops is like, I've studied it. I'm practicing it today, but not to the same kind of effectiveness. Yeah. Okay, I put this one of the great romantic sort of Shakespearean what do you call it? Doomed love stories.
Tragedies.
Although it's not a tragedy, but it's one of these doomed love stories.
Right. Fine.
Okay.
Fine.
And I'm going to give it a solid 8.5.
Okay, another 8.5. I like it.
You like it? Have you seen Havana?
I have not. Okay. So yeah, fine. You're hitting me with films I've not seen.
All right.
Which is a good thing.
Are we on 4? We're on 4?
Yeah, we need one more.
All right.
Boom.
Modern audiences, 2000s. 2005, I think. The Business.
Now, I have seen this film.
All right.
We're talking about the British gangster film.
We are?
Right, set in Spain, I believe. Okay.
Costa del Sol.
Now, I've seen it. It's a great film. Is it underrated? Maybe it's underrated, but I think the problem is, and let me just put this out there from the get-go, see how you come back at it. There was a period in those early 2000s, after Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels by Guy Ritchie, there was a huge spate and a huge appetite for those, British gangster films, those modern-day British gangster films. You had Layer Cake, you had so many others. I mean, nameless, right? But they all kind of mesh into one, but none of them really live up to Lock, Stock, or then Snatch, and so on. So what makes this different?
I think this one, it's more low budget.
Fine.
And it's targeted more at that kind of Heat and Loaded magazine kind of, lads culture.
Yeah, but so did those other ones.
But I think it's really tailor-made. Okay. It's really tailor-made. It's more fun.
Okay.
Okay, it's set in the 80s, actually, so it's actually a period piece. Okay. All right, but fine. Okay. It's not a piece of great directorial work, but it's like a lads culture kind of movie, right? Danny Dyer's playing the.
But so are all those films. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm just let me make my point. Then you can provide
okay.
your riposte. Okay, Danny Dyer's basically playing this guy who's fed up living in London in like I don't know where he's living in Peckham or something like that. Okay, he has an opportunity to go deliver some cash to a low-level gangster playboy played by Tamer Hassan, right? The boy Charlie.
No, I know him.
All
He's
right.
good.
So, the kid Frankie and Charlie's the kid Frankie's Danny Dyer and Charlie is Tamer Hassan. Okay, so he delivers it to him. He gets like a snapshot basically of like life. I guess it's in Marbella.
Yeah, I think it is.
He's running a nightclub.
Yeah.
He's getting loads of girls.
Port Banús.
Yeah, he's doing a little bit of smuggling, a bit of drug dealing. Nothing big. Actually,
Yeah.
to start with marijuana. And he's like, man, I got a taste of the high life. Okay, he sticks around, and you've got basically. It's actually a short film. It's like 90, even less than 90 minutes. In the first half of the film, lots and lots of 80s music. Okay, you've got like all
That's
the
why you love it so much.
all the big hits. But I think again, we talk about Havana. I think it's actually a very very accurate and apt and real portrayal of like
That
what
time.
it's like to be that age at that time in Marbella. Something we know a little bit about.
A
You
little
know
bit
more
about-
about.
yeah,
Okay, so I think that's handled very effectively, and it's quite aspirational. I mean, watching it, I'm like, my God, they're having a great time, and I would imagine they had a great time filming it. They have, and there've been talks of sequels and stuff. I also have to say, Georgina Chapman, Harvey Weinstein's ex-wife, plays this stunningly beautiful gangster's mole. Okay,
Right.
And she
was this
actually,
while she was married to.
I think, right before.
Oh, right
Maybe you
before.
saw her in that film.
Maybe.
Okay, and she plays it with real appetite. She got appetite.
She
bro.
got appetite.
She got appetite.
Oh,
mate.
she got
Yeah.
appetite.
You got appetite. Okay, and just very well played. All the characters. It's not a astonishingly well acted film, but all the characters
fun.
play the role very well, very effective. It's a great 90 minutes of fun. In the second half of the film, things turn sour, right? Like all these gangster films. This is like they're copying basically Goodfellas
Yes.
in a more
yes,
condensed,
yes. And
way.
that English
but even that's,
Guy Ritchie vibe.
But even that's done well.
Okay.
Even that's done well.
All right.
Okay. So great fun, a great fun experience. And by the way, I also think on YouTube, all
Fine.
these underrated films like are available to watch on YouTube. I think it's Revenge is on there, The Business is on there, not Havana,
No.
not Less Than Zero.
No.
Okay.
Anyway, you're gonna have to seek them out. Let us know what you think. That's your top 5. What did you give a rating for The Business? 7.5?
No, 8.
8.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Obviously, all these films are gonna be highly ranked.
Yeah.
All right, man. That was great. Subscribe, like, comment if you've seen any of these films, or if you subsequently do watch it because of us. Please let us know what you think.
I have one addendum, my friend. One addendum.
Addend me.
One addendum. We need to reference a film, and I thought about this.
Okay.
An overrated, underrated film. Okay, and by that I mean.
Yeah, please tell us what you mean.
Okay,
by that.
a film that is deemed underrated.
Right.
Okay, like the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, but that because of its underrated acclaim by reviewers and fans, developed a cult following, and people watch it subsequently. Okay. And that we watched subsequently, and I know you've watched it, and you agree with me on this point.
Yeah.
Okay. And we watched it, saying like, "This is a great
Yeah, I
underrated
think I
film.
know where you're headed.
This is a great underrated
Yeah,
film."
yeah.
We watched it, and we're like, and then we looked at all the reviewers who gave it 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, everything, masterpiece,
Yes.
underrated.
I mean,
and
one of our favorite film critics, Mark Commode.
Oh, you know where I'm going.
Yeah. He loves this film.
Okay.
He thinks it's like one of the greatest films. Now listen,
Give it away.
I've watched it too.
Okay.
Based on his recommendation.
Yes, me too.
Right?
Me too.
And it's good, but I don't see like what they are. I think we're missing something.
You're gonna tell the audience what it's called?
It's called Local Hero.
Yeah.
Okay. Starring
Peter Capaldi, Peter Riegert,
Burt
Burt
Lancaster.
Lancaster, yeah.
Yes. Oh, who's the girl in it?
I am
It's famous.
ashamed to say I have forgotten.
No. She's been in a few films.
While you dig up, I'll find out in my notes.
Wasn't she a Bond girl?
No. But
Anyway,
go on.
Listen, this film is basically set in Scotland. It's about a big American company that discovers there's oil reserves in this part of Scotland, in this small village. So they go in, they send their guy in to kind of scope out the village to get the locals to sign away their land, basically, right?
Jennifer Black and Jenny Seagrove. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, and basically the American employee for this big oil company sort of falls in love with the village and fights to defend it against the big conglomerate.
Correct.
Okay, now great premise, right? And a good film, but not like this. Wow, listen, the best thing about this film is the soundtrack.
I can dig it up if we had more time.
No,
but yes,
but it's
by Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits.
Called Local Hero.
No, it's called Going Home.
Oh, it's called Going Home, correct.
Which is actually the theme that plays and blasts in at every Newcastle home game.
Yeah.
Okay, which is one of the
That's
great
true.
instrumental. And actually, my affection for Dire Straits is quite well known about my friends, and actually it is one of I think it's my favorite musical score of all time.
Yeah,
and it does play very nicely in the film.
It's a cute film. It's cute.
I'll tell you what I don't like.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what I didn't find it
good.
Because that whole premise of big city capitalist falling in love with small
fish out
town
of water type vibe.
Okay,
yes,
it's been done. It's been done very well. But like.
And it's been done better.
I've been all for it. You know what the problem is? As I'm watching the film, I'm not so sold on what he loves about the community, what he loves about the
How many times
scenery.
have you seen it?
Twice.
Okay.
And another problem I had with the film, I don't know if you remember it well, but at one point, as he tries to announce to the locals that look, a big oil refinery is going to take over, the coastline, and so on and so forth. My expectation was that the locals would be up in arms. We have to fight against this kind of imperialism, this capitalism, all this kind of stuff. We have to preserve our natural resources. Instead, they're all celebrating.
Yeah, but they're going to get rich.
No, exactly. but I found that, yes, and I get that. But I didn't find it rang true because Peter Rieger is supposed to have kind of fallen in love with this place. He wants to give up his kind of big city Texas lifestyle for it. Anyways, I found out, well, if the locals don't like where they live that much, then how am I supposed to buy that this guy coming from Texas is supposed to like it that much? Anyways, look, it's a good film.
Again, if you've seen it, please let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it worth the hype?
It is.
In being underrated yet overrated.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's it for part 1. We'll be back for a part 2. You got another 5 films for us?
I got another 5 films for you.
I like it. We'll be back.